Hey everyone, welcome to the second devlog for this little indie game project that I'm working on. It's still unnamed, so if you have name suggestions, feel free to drop those in the comments. Today I'm going to be showing you a loot system, as well as an inventory UI that I've been working on since the last devlog. And then I'm going to give you a high-level overview of the compositional design, I guess pattern you could call it. I'll give you a high-level overview of how I'm using components to build my things, my entities, and anything else in Godot. So let's jump right into it. So when I kill a spider, you'll be able to see a placeholder loot item here, which is just like a money bag. And they'll drop them 100% of the time for now, but that's fully configurable. And you'll notice when the loot item lands on the ground, it will separate from the other nearby loot items. So you can see that that one's sort of shifting into position. You'll see it right here with this one. See how it moves out of the way there? That's just to space everything out on the ground so that you don't have to worry about things overlapping and being unsure about which item you're selecting. So I can easily select any of these items. If I hover over these, I get a nice little white outline here, which is just a simple outline shader. If I press E while an item is outlined, I will pick that item up and it will go above my head and to signal that it's going into my inventory. So that's a loot system in general. If I press I on the keyboard, my inventory will open up here. And the inventory can be dismissed by pressing I again or by clicking outside with the left mouse button. So this is handy if you happen to venture into enemies and you need to go into attack mode. You can just click out and it will dismiss the window for you. No need to worry about finding the I key on your keyboard while you're panicking. So you'll see in here, it's a pretty standard inventory UI here. I can pick up this icon here. I can put it back in any cell that I want. There's currently 25 inventory slots. This blank area up here is going to be used for currency tracking. So like whatever currency I decide to use for the game, gold or something similar, will be up there in that empty spot, and then this will just be your inventory. So loot items will by default stack unless there will be some sort of unique conditions where they don't need to be able to stack, and they'll be able to stack to 99. So if I collected 99 money bags, it would go start stacking into the next open slot. So that's basically it. Like I said, press I to dismiss. It also shifts the camera over a little bit. So you'll see this sometimes in action RPGs where if you open up a panel that takes up a large chunk of one side of the screen, your character will kind of be shifted over, or your view will be shifted over so that you have an equal amount of space on either side of the character here. That's kind of what I've been trying to achieve with this. I don't know if I want to keep it yet, so I'd be interested to hear your comments. With that out of the way, that's what I've been working on. So let's take a look at the compositional design pattern. I don't even know if that's the right term, compositional design. I am composing my entities and everything else with components, and each component is its own scene. So let's take a look at, what do we want to take a look at here? We could take a look at our health component. So you see the health component is just its own scene. It's only one node. The reason I make it its own scene is that way the script that I have for it is always associated with it. So I don't have to attach a script to just a node that I'm calling health component. All I have to do is instance this health component scene. And so we'll just take a look at the code here. So this is the class. I mean, it's 50 lines in total, including everything. And all the health component does is it keeps track of health. And the reason that I'm using nodes for these components, because sometimes you'll see just using like plain objects for whatever language you're using. So like C#, some people do their compositional design with just plain objects. The reason I'm using Godot nodes is because I can leverage the power of the scene tree and use signals. And so that's the way that I make my components communicate with one another. And using signals is nice for this because it means that I can just blast out a signal and not worried about who's listening. I don't need any dependencies. I can just say this event has happened within my script. I'm going to emit that signal. Fine, that's it. Whoever is connected, that's great. Whoever is not listening, that's also great. If there's absolutely no one listening, then it doesn't, it doesn't matter. So what I'm doing in here is essentially I'm just keeping track of HP, and when I call decrement on this, I'll emit a signal that says, hey, health decremented. And then I'll do another check. If my health is less than or equal to 0, we'll say health depleted. And that's it. That's really it. So you'll see I also have in here an export variable for a node path. I'm asking to point to a damage receiver component path. And let's go ahead and look at the damage receiver component. Let's take a look at it in here first. So the damage receiver component is its own scene as well, and all it contains is a collision shape 2D as the child and an area 2D as the root node. Pretty basic. I mean, those are the only two things that I need for that. And the damage receiver component only has one responsibility as well, and that is to handle hits. So what this will do is this will detect physics body 2Ds entering it. It will check the body and see if it has a damage dealer component. If so, then it will handle the hit. And then it does the camera shake, it does the screen flash, creates a damage number, but you'll notice it doesn't do any health handling in here whatsoever. And that's because what it does is it emits the signal damage received, damage dealer.damage. So what I'm doing is I'm receiving the damage from the physics body 2D that has hit me. I'm playing the effect that is associated with a hit, so that's flashing the character, flashing the camera, creating that damage number. But then I'm not doing anything beyond that. That's anything beyond that is sort of outside the scope of this component. So then when I say, okay, I'm going to emit the signal, here's how much damage that was dealt, do with that what you will. And so you'll see in here in the health component, I'm asking for essentially what is a reference to a damage receiver component. We can see this in the tree here. So we have my health component, we have our max HP, which is configurable there, but then we have the damage receiver component. So what I do is I just click on that, I say, here's my damage receiver component, perfect. And so now on the ready, the health component will check that path. It'll say, okay, if I have a path, I'm gonna go get that node and then connect to that damage received signal. And then connect to this name of on damage received here. And then we're taking the damage, and then here is where I do the decrement damage. So you can see how these things they have like a soft dependency. But if I included one and not the other, the game would still function perfectly. And I can actually show you this right now. So remember what I was saying about how these communicate with signals and they're not dependent on each other. So what I can do is I can actually just delete this node here, this health component node. And I get these warnings, which I've configured. It must have a health component, will not display properly without owner having a health component. Those are just warnings that I put in for myself to describe when my configuration is not set up correctly. But you'll see when I hit this guy, the damage effects are still playing. So you'll notice that the screen shake is still going. He will still flash white for a brief period. The projectile collides with it and does its damage and everything. And we see the damage numbers flying out. But the only thing that's not happening is the health bar is not updating. It's not reflecting the health of the thing because the health of the thing is non-existent. There is no health for this thing. So it's essentially invulnerable, but it handles all of its collisions and damage as if it was vulnerable and able to receive damage. So that's kind of nice. So pretty powerful. So we can see how that doesn't break my game, looks normal, but it's a totally different behavior. Now, granted, it's probably not the behavior that you want to see in a game with an enemy that has a health bar, but I think you can easily imagine how putting things in these nice little components can make it super easy to create really complex things that are made of simple parts, and even to create like really interesting things. Like maybe there would be a case where you want to show something with a health bar, but it doesn't actually take any damage. I can't think of one right now, but you know, I think you get the gist of it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys are interested in following me or the progress of this little game, please be sure to check out the links in the description. And if I don't see you on the stream, I hope that I will see you in the next devlog. All right. Goodbye, everyone.